Hey, this is Matt. Once again, welcome back to another video. There's another paid request. This time for Ilko. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos or topics, reactions, what have you, send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, this is for the 1977 film Grand Theft Auto. No, it has nothing to do with the game. The game wasn't based on this or anything. This was you would say, the first film directed by Ron Howard, who of course would do Apollo 13 and various other movies. But of course by this point he was on the TV show Happy Days, and he had been in a previous film for Roger Corman's company called Eat My Dust. And I guess the success of that led to this, where not only is he starring in this, but now he gets to direct. And for a first time directing, Ron Howard definitely had a nice handle on the action and car sequences. Just the plot is there's this girl named Paula, played by Nancy Morgan, who has rich parents. The rich parents want her to marry this guy named Collins. But she's like, no, I don't want to marry him. He's a flake. I want to marry Ron Howard's character. Oh, you can't marry him. He just wants your money. No, he doesn't want my money. Something about environmental student, something like that. Is I know me and Ron Howard, we are going to go to Vegas. We're going to get married. Her dad gets pissed, say no you're not. So she steals her dad's car, which is a Rolls Royce, and they go on the road to get married in Vegas. And that's where everything goes to hell. Where while they're on their way, the father gets some people, including Ron Howard's dad, to go chase after them. But then the mom tells the flake Collins, and then he's on the road trying to get them. And it's just this thing that keeps getting bigger and bigger, the snowball effect, where then Collins' mom hears about it and she steals a car, and then the radio hears about it, and the radio guy recognizes Don Steele. If you remember Gremlins, and the radio guy in that, Rockin' Ricky, that's the same guy, the radio guy, who is in this one. And he's like, hey, we've heard there's a $25,000 reward to get this car. Then someone else offers a reward. Doesn't the dad offer, or the mom or dad offers a reward, then Collins offers a reward, so then it becomes 50,000. So then more people try to go after them, whether it be Clint Howard and a buddy of his. They get in this like roadster, they go after them. Or if it's not a roadster, I don't know what you call it, but there's no top to it. There's no top like convertible, but it looks like an old school like roadster type of thing. Then a preacher hears about it, and he gets on it, and it's like everybody keeps stealing everybody's cars, while Ron Howard and Nancy Morgan just want to try to get to Vegas. Now, there's no deep drama, which I'm fine with, but they may, if you want that, it's not the movie. It's just goofy comedy hijinks, a lot of car crashes, a lot of car stealing. It lives up to the name Grand Theft Auto. Hell, I felt there was more cars stolen here than in Gone in 60 Seconds with Nicolas Cage, that remake of the original Gone in 60 Seconds. But lots of car wrecks, and Ron Howard films them fairly well. There are times where there's multiple angles and slow motion to get the full effect. There's bits where like one car has jumped up and crashes into the top of another car. Near the end, there's a point where a car crashes through a whole house, and you see in slow motion crashing through the glass and this TV. And it's like, well, Clint Howard and his buddy's car get fucked up, so they steal this car, or which is two people that got married. One was actually Paul Bartel, who would be in Eating Raoul and other stuff. They steal their car. So they steal a newly married couple's car. There's one point where Collins and the preacher stole a cop car. Collins and the preacher work together. They steal an ice cream truck. Does everybody steal everybody's fucking cars? And like I said, there's not a whole lot of other stuff to it other than that, so maybe there'd be a point where maybe you get a little bit bored or a little bit tedious. But I wasn't bored with it because I'm a sucker for that. I'm a sucker for car crashes and when everything has to be done practically, nothing can be done with the computer, nothing can be done after the fact. If you don't do it there, you don't have the shot. Ron Howard and Nancy Morgan seemed like a sweet couple, and you know, had a bit of that. Ron Howard had a bit of that old school boyish charm that made him likable and endearing to audiences, and I can see why. He worked well. Like I said, they definitely get a lot out of their low budget. There's even a point where our leads are playing chicken with a helicopter, and you see it almost hit the helicopter. The helicopter goes up just to get out of the way. Or there's another bit where some guys are trying to stop the car and they're going to blow up this bridge, but they get by, and as soon as they get by, the whole bridge explodes. There's a whole finale where everybody gets together and they all get stuck in this destruction derby. So they realize too late they're in a destruction derby circle, and you want to talk about cars getting hit. Everybody gets hit. I guess they try to force a little bit of drama in there where it comes to a point where the two leads go, well, are you using this? Are you using me to get back at your dad? No, I'm not. That felt a bit forced, as if we gotta have something in there, because it's really the only time in the movie, and it only lasts, I don't know, if it's 2 minutes, I'd be surprised. But I guess they thought, well, what do I have, some better than none? What it kind of reminded me of, which I had seen because it came out much later, was a film called The Chase, which I do enjoy that film with Charlie Sheen. You have Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers. You have Henry Rollins, which like I said, I do enjoy that film. I think that's a very fun film. I'd probably say I like that bit more than this. Maybe because of the 90s sensibility to it, and but that's what it kind of reminded me of, where two people get in a car for different circumstances, and then, like this film, is just one long chase, and all this other shit going about it. Maybe because in that film there's a little bit more to it, where one's a crook and one's the rich daughter, and she finds out more about him, and he's not really as guilty people think he is. So there's a little bit more, teeny bit more to the characters compared to this one. I would say if you like 70s movies with a lot of car crashes, a lot of comedy hijinks because of those car crashes, the guy who's the preacher is fairly over the top. So is the guy who's Don Steele. I mean, literally, he's crashing through a house and is narrating the whole time to his radio audience what's going on and what's happening. Always I see Clint Howard in there when the two of them are trying to get the leads to pull over, and it's like, well, your tire's this, your blah blah this. Hey, we'll split the money. As I always like to have Clint Howard in there. I'm I'm not sure if I buy the father's change of heart by the end. Because what happens after Destruction Derby, the Collins mother says, "Oh, you know, your daughter's this and that," and he finally sits up for his daughter. No, he's not. I mean, no, she's not. You are an uncouth ass. And he goes, "Well, lady, your ass isn't exactly perfect either." I thought that was a pretty funny line. I actually thought it was the best line in the movie. And Collins tries to fight, and the father knocks his ass down. You know what? My daughter's right. You are a flake. Is it that the change in the father's demeanor does seem to come out of the blue? Maybe a little bit of more build up where he starts notices little things about Collins or notices little things about this guy that makes him question it or makes him wonder or makes him think twice about it. But yeah, Ron Howard and Nancy Morgan, again, they seem like a sweet couple. Thankfully, they don't do something where they're just nagging on each other the whole time or yelling at each other the whole time. Quite the opposite. Because if they did the first option, it'd be very annoying. But it's one of those films that's kind of hard to talk about because it's, like the title suggests, it's a lot of people stealing each other's cars and going on the road. But it had a fun, almost, like you could almost see Burt Reynolds starring in a film like this. That Smokey and the Bandit, Cannonball Run type of, let's just be entertained quality to the movie. Where there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying if people are expecting anything more out of it, you may not get it. But like I said, if you like car crashes, if there's some good ones. Like there's some bits where, like when Clint Howard and his buddy are in this car, and Ron Howard has the camera right behind them, and you really see that they're speeding through this. Like they're speeding through these roads in high speed, or you get some shots by the tire, and Ron Howard just learned some stuff from other people for a directorial debut. He definitely knew how to shoot the car chase and action sequences fairly well. So I definitely commend him for that. Like I said, using multiple angles during crashes, using slow-mo when it was needed, but I don't think he overused it. I think he used it when he needed to. And in certain places he would put the camera to showcase the speed of these sequences. Definitely a fun film. Wasn't that bored with it. Things work out at the end. The title fits. So, check out the trailer if it interests you. It's a fun movie worth a watch. And we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.